Greetings fellow gamers and 7 Days to Die fans, this is Small Archangel and welcome to this slightly different episode of 7 Days to Die. This is more a tutorial than gameplay today, in response to a couple of requests I've had. Just a little video to show you how I actually changed my world, or rather put my existing character into a new one, which is not something I've done before, but then I haven't really felt the need to. But 13.6 kind of justified it. As you can see, it breaks the world in a fairly epic way, and even if you did manage to build some massive ramps to allow you to get out of or into the craters that are the result of this new code in the random gen world, yeah, it's still you're still gonna end up with some pretty broken looking terrain and landscape generation bugs later on in the game, so it's probably best to just call it quits and start again, but keep your character stats. So here's what we do. So then what we're going to do, we're going to find our appropriate directory. What we're looking for is the player directory of your 7 Days to Die saves, and where you'll find that is in users, app data, roaming, 7 Days to Die, saves, random gen. I'm assuming if you're having this problem, you're in random gen, and then whatever your world game name is. Now mine happens to be my personal hell, so we go into there. Now the first thing you want to do is get rid of region. This basically contains all of your random gen sort of world data files, so we're going to get shut of that first of all. Then you want to go into player and you want to get rid of any files with the .map extension on them, so you want to get shot of those, and I've got 2 of them here. You probably should have 2 as well. They're the TTP ones, you leave them there because that's your player ones. That's your player files, so you want to leave those exactly where they are. Then we can, we'll just leave that open for the time being because we're coming back to that. Then, if we go back into 7 Days to Die again and boot it up. Okay, so if you go then back into the same seed, hopefully when we click start, the game should regenerate your world from the seed you had before, but using the new random gen land generation code. So here we are. We're still in the wasteland, but there isn't an enormous wall in front of us. Now you'll notice that the day has not changed, nor have any of my map markers. Unfortunately, none of those is going to be correct anymore, so you can get rid of them straight away. Any of this stuff here you probably want to remove because it's not going to be pointing to anything anymore. Now one thing you do want to watch out for, and if you get the opportunity to do this, shift your bed, because that can cause problems. If your bed's point is still there and you can't obviously just remove that, it's not just a way marker, it's a respawn point. If you get the opportunity to shift that before you go through this process, do, because if you die, you're going to bug out. You're going to respawn to something that's not there anymore, and it's going to bug out like crazy. Okay, so that is choice number 1 of how to go about this. So I have regenerated my world from the same seed, which means that it should have some possible similarities, but due to the way that the landscape is now regenerated, that is going to be, it's going to look really quite different. Before this Z gets to me, let me just demonstrate that I've got all my lovely, lovely stuff still here. So all the really important things that you really absolutely don't want to leave behind. Obviously, you're going to lose your base, you're going to lose any structures you've built, but you are going to keep the gear that your character is equipped with and the contents of your inventory, plus all those lovely skills that you earned and put points into. And your level, of course. Now, second, and this time, we're not going to bother quitting out of here, because the second thing that you can do is to transfer your character straight across into a brand new save. So if we want to start from completely new seed, like for example anything we haven't tried before, Garden of Eden. Okay, so we get your new thing, you set it up like you normally would with all your options as you normally would. Okay, and then in you go. Now this is going to start you with a brand new character, of course, but once you've gone into that save, and sort of set it up so you've built the file into your player directory. There we go, ping, and obviously there we are with our starting gear, and here we are with absolutely nothing but our dreadlocks and our backpack. So then if we quit out of that, and again I don't think we need to quit all the way back to desktop here, we go back into here, and we go back, and this time we go to Garden of Eden. And we go into there. We've got a player file in there already, but what you want to do is, for example, if I want to take this character here, we copy these two files, and then we back to Garden of Eden, into player, and we paste those in there. We get rid of this one because that's our new one, and we paste in our old file, our new, old files there, and then that should give us our new character, or rather our existing character, in our new game. And here we are. So, looks like we've spawned in a different place, which is not surprising, really. There we go. So, effectively, we're starting. And the other thing with this one is we've got all our gear here, as we had before. We've got all our gear on our character, as we had before. But if you'll notice at the top of the screen there, day 1, 7 in the morning. So that is the other advantage of doing it this way. You get a completely new seed, a completely new world, and you're starting again from day 1, but with the benefit of experience. Just a couple of words of warning on this then. This works really well if you want to, say, transfer a character from 13.5 to 13.6, because obviously there's very little difference between those two. In terms of the character themselves, in terms of the items in game, the real big difference is going to be the landscape generation. Everything else, not so much. Okay, because everything else is pretty much the same as it was in Alpha 13, so you're going to be good for that. However, if you're going to try this method with a character from a much older game, it's obviously not going to work so well, particularly if it comes from before certain character customization options were implemented or what have you. Things like that are obviously going to cause you problems, or could well cause you problems. So bear that in mind. Also bear this in mind, I was just changing this from a single player game to another single player game. It's going to be more complicated if you're co-op. It's going to be a lot more complicated if you're on multiplayer. Now, I don't do multiplayers and servers and things like that on this game, but I do know that if you are running a multiplayer game, then you're going to need to change some other things as well. For example, land claim blocks. If you've got a lot of land claim blocks, a bit like your bedroll, if you don't get those deleted, basically, and you can delete them from your files as well, but I can't remember the file path and things straight off the top of my head. I haven't had to do it. If you don't delete those first, obviously they're going to make your world bug out in fairly obvious ways. You're going to find certain bits of the map randomly. You can't place anything, can't do anything, so you need to bear that in mind. But in theory it should work the same, and it should work the same for co-op as well. So guys, I hope you can transfer your old characters to your new games and keep on gaming. Happy zombie slaughtering, and until I see you next time, bye bye for now.